In this part of the lesson, we're going to be reading to practice the skill of declunking. Here's what I'm looking for. As you read, stop the video at every unfamiliar word. Have a go at using all the skills you learned. Sometimes you'll want to peel back the word, take it apart, see what bits you recognise, and see can you construct meaning from there. Other times, read around it. Skip past the word and read the previous sentence and see can you make sense of it from that context. The Mozart Question by Michael Morpurgo. The question I am most often asked is always easy enough to answer. Question: how did you get started as a writer? Answer: funnily enough, by asking someone almost exactly that very same question, which I was only able to ask in the first place, by a dose of extraordinarily good fortune. I had better explain. My good fortune was, of course, someone else's rotten luck. It is often that way, I find. The phone call sounded distraught. It came on a Sunday evening. I had only been working on the paper for 3 weeks. I was a cub reporter. This was my first paid job. Lesley? It was my boss, chief arts correspondent Merrill Monkton, a lady not to be messed with. She did not waste time with niceties. She never did. Listen, Lesley, I have a problem. I was due to go to Venice tomorrow to interview Paulo Levi. Paulo Levi, I said, the violinist. Is there any other Paulo Levi? She did not trouble to hide her irritation. Now look, Lesley, I've had an accident, a skiing accident, and I'm stuck in hospital in Switzerland. You'll have to go to Venice instead of me. Oh, that's terrible, I said, smothering as best I could the excitement surging inside me. 3 weeks into the job, and I'd be interviewing the great Paulo Levi, and in Venice. Talk about her accident, I told myself. Sound concerned. Sound very concerned. How did it happen? I asked. The skiing accident, I mean. Skiing, she snapped. If there's one thing I can't abide, Lesley, it's people feeling sorry for me. Sorry, I said. I would postpone it if I could, Lesley, she went on. But I just don't dare. It's taken me more than a year to persuade him to do it. It'll be his first interview in years. And even then I had to agree not to ask him the Mozart question. So don't ask him the Mozart question. Is that clear? If you do, he'll, like as not, cancel the whole interview. He's done it before. We're really lucky to get him, Lesley. I only wish I could be there to do it myself. But you'll have to do. The Mozart question? I asked rather tentatively. The silence at the end of the phone was long. You mean to say you don't know about Paulo Levi and the Mozart question? Where have you been, girl? Don't you know anything at all about Paulo Levi? I suddenly felt I might lose the opportunity altogether if I did not immediately sound informed, and well informed too. Well, he would have been born sometime in the mid-1950s, I began. He must be about 50 by now. Exactly 50 in 2 weeks' time, Merrill Monkton interrupted wearily. His London concert is his 50th birthday concert. That's the whole point of the interview. Go on. I rattled off all I knew. Child prodigy and genius, like Yehudi Menuhin, played his first major concert when he was 13, probably best known for playing of Bach and Vivaldi. Like Menuhin, he played often with Grappelli, equally at home with jazz or Scottish fiddle music, and Beethoven. He has played in practically every major concert hall in the world in front of presidents and kings and queens. I heard him at the Royal Festival Hall in London 5 years ago, I think. He was playing Beethoven's violin concerto. He was wonderful. Doesn't like applause, never waits for applause, doesn't believe in it apparently. The night I saw him, he just walked off the stage and didn't come back. He thinks it's the music that should be applauded, if anything. Or perhaps the composer, but certainly not the musician. Says that silence after the performance is part of the music and should not be interrupted. Doesn't record either. It should be live, not canned, protects his privacy fiercely, solitary, reticent, lives alone in Venice where he was born, just about the most famous musician on the planet, and the most famous, Lesley, but he hates obscuseness. He likes to be talked to straight, so no bowing or scraping, no wide-eyed wonder, and above all, no nerves. Can you do that? Yes, Merrill, I replied, knowing only too well that I would have the greatest difficulty even finding my voice in front of the great man. And whatever you do, stick to the music. He'll talk till the cows come home about music and composers, but no personal stuff. And above all, keep off the Mozart question. Oh yes, and don't take the tape recorder with you. He hates gadgets. Only shorthand. You can do shorthand, I suppose. 3,000 words, it's your big chance, so don't mess it up, Lesley. No pressure then, I thought. So there I was the next evening, outside Paulo Levi's apartment in Dorsoduro in Venice, on the dot of 6 o'clock. My throat dry, my heart pounding, trying all I could to compose myself. It occurred to me again, as it had often on the plane, that I still had no idea what this Mozart question was, only that I mustn't ask it. It was cold, the kind of cruel chill that seeps instantly into your bones, deep into your kidneys, and makes your ears ache. This didn't seem to bother the street performers in the square behind me. Several grotesquely marked figures on stilts strutting across the square, an entirely silver statue man posing immobile outside the cafe with a gaggle of tourists gazing wonderingly at him. The door opened, and there in front of me, Paulo Levi, neat, trim, his famous hair long to his shoulders and jet black. I'm Lesley McInley, I said. I've come from London. From the newspaper, I suppose. There was no welcoming smile. You'd better come in. Shut the door behind you. I hate the cold. His English was perfect, not a trace of an accent. He seemed to be able to follow my thoughts. I speak English quite well, he said as we went up the stairs. Language is like music. You learn it best through listening. He led me down a hallway and into a large room, empty except for a couch by the piano, piled high with cushions. At one end, a grand piano in the centre and a music stand nearby. At the other end were just 2 armchairs and a table, nothing else. I like to keep it empty, he said. It was uncanny. He was reading my thoughts. Now I felt almost unnerved. Sound needs space to breathe, just the same as we need air, he said. He waved me to a chair and sat down. You'll have some mint tea? He said, pouring me a cup. His dark blue cardigan and grey corduroy trousers were somehow both shabby and elegant at the same time. His bedroom slippers he wore looked incongruous but comfortable. My feet, they hate the cold more than the rest of me. He was scrutinizing me. Okay, if you want to stop there, you can. We have enough examples just in this video that we can practice declunking on. I'm going to finish out the rest of the story in the next video or two. You can stay with me if you like. Slán go fóill, Tuair Giara.